Welcome everybody to the Healing Kitchen, last day of July. Wow. And take it away, Brittany.
All right, guys. So I have two recipes that are kind of like simple snacky recipes. They're two recipes I love to have pre-made and just kind of nosh on here and there. One's more of a savory, one's more of a sweet for you guys. We're going to start off with the simple summer cucumber salad because you might have your own garden or a neighbor's garden or an abundance of cucumbers. And I love it because it's really hydrating. It's a nice crunch. And then we're going to make a couple things to make sure the snack is a little filling. So we have 4 large cucumbers that I've just kind of diced up. You can cube them, dice them, slice them, whatever you like. Sometimes we do slices for this recipe. And I'm just going to dump them into a bowl. Again, this is like super easy. I will wrap this, and I feel like it's actually better when it like sits for a day. So like tomorrow it'll be perfect whenever I go to dive into it for the first time. And it's just very hydrating. We were talking about the heat, so this would be perfect for, the summer months just to have in the refrigerator. So this is just cucumber. That's all that's in there. Okay. To add this, to make this more filling, I do a can of chickpeas. Now I've rinsed and drained this can. This is a salt-free can, but you can make beans from your own. You can from scratch. And if you don't want to use chickpeas, you can use something else. This was inspired by a recipe that my husband, his family makes. He's from Lebanese descent, his dad. So he had a lot of stuff like this growing up. So they make kind of this yogurty, easy salad that they always had. And I've just kind of swapped it out to make it healthy and delicious. So that's just chickpeas and cucumber, really simple. And then all we're going to do is add a dressing to it. And again, it marinates in the refrigerator. The dressing's really nice because it's not like soupy on this. It just nicely coats everything. And then you can pull it out when you're ready. So the dressing, again, this is kind of a Middle Eastern inspired recipe, is 1/2 cup of plant-based yogurt. You can buy your yogurt. There's a couple different brands now on the market, or you can make your own. So we actually make our own in the Instant Pot. I make it almost every 2 weeks generally. And we always have usually some ready to go. This is 1/2 cup, but again, most grocery stores now are starting to carry plant-based yogurts, and I would just get a plain unsweetened one. And then to this, we're going to add in some lemon juice, some miso, and black pepper. It's a really simple dressing. And then also at the very end, if you have fresh mint, what I like to do is I like to top that when you're ready to serve it. So don't put it in now if you're going to refrigerate it. We just like to finely chop it and sprinkle it on top. It really just gives like a nice pop of fresh mint to this recipe. And it does really like take it to the next level. So 1/2 cup of plant-based yogurt, and then I have a teaspoon of lemon juice that I'm going to add. And again, this doesn't seem like it's a lot, but it's going to nicely just like gently coat everything, not drown it. Give that a nice toss. And then to this, I like to just do a teaspoon of white miso paste to this. This is the soy miso that we use. And this just takes a minute to really stir it in. It's nice because it's a different color, so you can really see if it's incorporated well. And then I just add a little bit of black pepper, and that's it. It's like such an easy, simple recipe that really, I make a lot during the summer. Anytime we have cucumbers, I'm like, oh, do we have enough to do this? Because I love it. So just take a moment, really stir up that miso paste. Really, it breaks up pretty easily in the yogurt. And then we're just going to give it a nice toss. And again, this can be refrigerated for a few days. Usually it lasts up to like almost a week. And we just do the finely fresh mint when you're ready to serve it. Don't put it on now. You can see it gets nice and thick. And then again, we're just going to toss it into, and then that's it. It's such an easy recipe. I serve it chilled. It just has such a nice like creaminess to it, but not too much. And again, you just do a nice toss. The cucumbers are really nice for this, and same with the chickpeas because everything's like already a little hydrated. So it's not like a super dry vegetable. So it really helps that yogurt mixture really like spread pretty easily. And again, we'll just cover this. And this is really nice. I eat this, you know, as a snack. It's high protein because of the beans. It's nice and crunchy for the cucumbers. It feels a little decadent because of the yogurt that's on there. But my in-laws make something that's definitely not healthy like this. But I love this. I bring this to their house now. They've kind of moved into enjoying it this way. And it's just such a great recipe. Again, we just kind of keep it wrapped up in the fridge and enjoy it whenever throughout the week as a quick little snack. Or it could be a side dish even. But really, really hydrating for how hot it's been.
Do the cucumbers get watery when it sets up in the fridge? Someone's asking.
They don't. They generally hold their shape pretty good. I don't notice that they get like watery or like rubbery. But generally you're eating it within like 5 to 7 days. But I've found that they don't get like soggy or anything like that. Just make sure you wrap it really well. Okay. Any other questions on that one? Super easy, savory snack. That will be my snack throughout the week now. All right, we're gonna move to the sweet snack. Now this one is perfect because fall is right around the corner. But generally I order, I don't know if anyone else uses the grocery service Misfit Market. It's also from Imperfect Produce is from it. Does anyone use that? They ship all around the United States and they might, I don't know if they do internationally, but pretty much what they do is they, I've been with them for years. They used to send you all of the ugly produce from the grocery store and you didn't used to be able to pick what you wanted. They just kind of shipped you whatever. Since now they've gotten really good. I have went through them all the pandemic and sometimes the box would come and the produce would be kind of questionable and you'd have to, you know, email their customer support saying like, hey, I got this like moldy something, or hey, this end up leaking. They've been really great. I haven't had to email them at all. And now what they do is they let you pick. So I can pick if I want apples or if I want cucumbers or what I want in the week, and then it shows up. So usually what I order is a lot of apples. And again, they're sometimes not always the best like sizes because I do think they try to reduce waste. So I got some really tiny apples, like super tiny apples this week. So generally with this recipe, you do 2 large apples. We're just making up for it with these baby apples because that's what I got delivered. If you get really small baby apples, what I do is I don't even necessarily core them, especially, and if you don't have a core, you don't have to. You can just slice them really thin. Also, if you don't have a mandolin, you don't have to. You can use just a knife. So I'm just going to show you guys that today. If you have a mandolin, just really be careful. I feel like the most kitchen accidents happen with that. There are a few that are great that I've found. Like there's one that has, you don't even put your fingers anywhere near the blade. You actually put it on like a stopper that you feed whatever you want to cut. So if you're doing potatoes or apples, the apple or potato goes in, and then you push the plastic piece to protect yourself. You also can get some cut resistant gloves, which I definitely suggest because I do feel like most people that I've heard that have really bad accidents have been with that. But luckily with this recipe, you can just use like a nice sharp knife. And so I just take it.
Deb's asking about the last one. The cucumbers, were they de-seeded?
Either one. It's up to you personally, whatever you'd like to eat. I believe, I'm trying to see, mine came in my Misfit Market. So I believe they're seedless on the one I just used, but I just used whatever, either one. And same with these apples, you can use whatever apples you'd like. So it can be any different kinds of flavor, and you can just use a knife and you just want to cut them kind of thin, you know, as thin as you can kind of make them with a knife, or you can use a mandolin. And I just put them in a big bowl. And this recipe is perfect for the fall or anytime, like if you have extra and you just want to carefully cut your apples. So I'm gonna carefully, quickly do this. And then we're gonna sprinkle on some cinnamon and some nutmeg, and that's it. It's such an easy recipe. And then we're gonna pop them into the oven and make some apple chips. And like, if you're doing this with a knife, you can even go the other way. It doesn't have to be perfect rounds. It all tastes the same when they all crisp up. These store in the oven, they can be stored outside of the oven, an airtight container for I've done it for like 2 weeks. And once you really draw the moisture out, they won't mold or anything either. So this can be really nice to have if you're looking for a snack, just to have in a pantry. If you have something like an RV and you have a lot of space, you know, to have. And we travel with these. We love having them ready to go. So I'm going to do that while we do medical questions, but I just want to show you real quick. I just add them to a bowl. I'm going to do the rest of them. And then I do a teaspoon of cinnamon and half a teaspoon of nutmeg. Other things I've done too is when it gets to the fall, pumpkin pie spice, apple pie spice are great. You can just dump those in. Trying to think of anything else. I've even done it with like Local Spicery makes SOS free spices, and they have a gingerbread spice that's really good that I love in oatmeal during the fall and winter months, but it's also really good on this recipe. So you can change up it, but a teaspoon of cinnamon for the whole thing. We're going to add more apples to this, and half a teaspoon of nutmeg. And then I just toss them in a bowl really well, both sides. And then I put them to a parchment paper baking sheet, which I have over there. And they bake for about 10 to 15 minutes, depending on your oven. Generally around 10 minutes, I check them. Sometimes they go 15. And then I flip them over and do another 10 to 15 on the other side. And then you just let them cool completely, and then you can enjoy. So I'm going to keep working on these, but it smells really, really good in here right now. Just making sure I don't miss any questions. And if you guys have any questions, let me know, but you just want to make sure they're not touching each other as they bake. That's kind of the ticket for them to come out super nice. But just try to get them on the thin side if you can. If you're doing them by hand. Those are going to be perfect. Okay, any other questions on this, guys? I went a little bit long last week, so I wanted to make sure I gave you enough time to answer questions this week.
Okay, any other questions? I'm gonna put, we can see both everybody. All right, so any medical or eating questions, recipe questions about anything in the kitchen, please put them in the Q&A box and we'll go from there. What else are you thinking of planning and cooking with the little guy as he starts to eat, as we're waiting for questions?
Oh my gosh. So I just like briefly started to dive into like what's the first foods, because what's so fun about his where he lines up is he'll line up at like Thanksgiving. Will be like he'll be able to actually like eat like real food. So that's super exciting. So I'm thinking like sweet potatoes, peas, avocado, carrots, butternut squash, you know, all this different kinds of squashes. So those are kind of the main things that I'm kind of pre-planning in my head for first foods. Beans, you know, things like that eventually, but yeah, anything hummus, anything that can be like mashed or
Right, absolutely. Deb's asking, where are you at, Dr. Marbus? How is internet in the RV? Do you have Starlink or some other satellite internet? We are in Fort Collins, Colorado, in the KOA here. It's a really nice little RV site with all sorts of amenities. We actually use T-Mobile home internet. It's like $50 a month, and it has, you can literally travel pretty much most of the country and have internet service. We also have Starlink. We have not had to get it wound up yet, but we will if we have to, if we're in a more remote area. But we're probably going to be staying in more high volume RV sites that have full hookups at least until we get through probably January, so we get kind of everything settled, because we're literally got an offer on our house and it's doing all that and some other stuff. So, but the internet's great. That's what we're on right now. So, what is your facial skincare routine? You have beautiful skin. Thank you. It's pretty simple. I wash my face with Cetaphil facial wash, and then I put lotion on. That's it. And so I think eating a whole plant-based diet, and I have good genetics for some of the things, so I think that's really very, very helpful. Other than that, yeah, that's pretty much it. Cetaphil facial wash. You can get it at any grocery store. It's very gentle on the skin. Good for kiddos too. Let's see. Megan says, I am in the T. Colin Campbell E. Cornell course. You know, that was the very first thing I did was I did that actual course because I was like, man, I need to understand, you know, what can I do? It was good to be, it was a great beginner option. So yeah, you're on the right track. They make quite the case about eating 5% of protein. On my diet currently, maybe I'm less impressed now. My current diet consists of 20 to 25%. Is there any health concerns for me? No. You need more protein than 5%. That's absolutely insane. No, absolutely not. So no. You're right on around 20, 25%. And if not, otherwise you're going to run into some risk of not getting enough protein. And we've certainly seen it in places. So Megan, don't worry about that. You're fine. Eat more legumes and whole grains. I'm actually pushing people to eat more protein because it is so important, especially as you get older. You need to be shooting for around 1 gram per kilogram of body weight, your ideal body weight, or even a little bit more if you are trying to do body recomposition and lose weight, and maintain muscle mass. So that is concerning. Okay, my blood pressure was 126/60 and the doctor's office yesterday. Any concerns? I guess my question is, has it been higher than that before? Are you on medications? Because if you go to the doctor's office, it's not uncommon. You know, you're a little nervous or maybe you're not well. 126/60 is a perfectly normal. I'm not in the best place stress wise. A little bit of stress, that's okay. Yeah, if I go to the dentist, which you can see I'm wearing Invisalign and dealing with some stuff, my blood pressure is still pretty good, but on occasion it will hit into the 120s. Although I've gotten there so many times now, it's like 106 when I go. So, yeah, what else are they going to do with me? All right. What are your thoughts on coffee in regards to high blood pressure? I continue to work on blood pressure, want to make sure I'm doing what I can do to control it. Sure. So, you know, of course, blood pressure is really important, but it does have caffeine, which, you know, you often worry about it. So there's a few different effects, right? So you can think about acute effects, right? So basically, what is that like immediately? Like you may see a slight increase in blood pressure. But depending on how much you take, so if you take upwards like a lot, like 200 to 300 milligrams, which is quite a bit, you can actually raise your systolic blood pressure. I think what I read is between 5 and 10, and the diastolic, that lower number, around 5 or so. So and it can last, you know, anywhere for, you know, 3 or so hours. So definitely want to pay attention to it. Now, then there's like the long-term coffee users, right? So you don't, it's almost like you take the drug and then you get used to the drug. That makes sense. And so the chronic effects tend to be a little less. The reason I literally have so many people ask me this coffee question about all sorts of stuff, but basically habitual coffee drinkers, they kind of develop a tolerance for the blood pressure raising effects. So honestly, when you look at the long-term research, that doesn't seem to do anything. And if there is, it's very, very slight. But if you have high blood pressure, you might want to pay attention to it, you know, maybe just do 1 cup versus, you know, 3 or more cups. So there actually are some interesting health benefits to coffee consumption. So I don't drink coffee. I don't like the taste. I love the smell. And I probably would drink coffee if I liked the taste, but I think it just varies. But most of the time, if you're just drinking a cup a day, you're probably fine. What blood pressure cuffs do I recommend? I like the Omron. I think it's called the Bronze. It's like $35 from Amazon. It's very good. Very, very good. So that's what I recommend, and it's affordable for most people. Okay, let's see here. You have a client of mine is trying to streamline her groceries to minimize costs and save time while maximizing her nutritional status. She's wondering what are the top foods would be for health and focus on weight loss and heart health. We are both aware of Dr. Greger's Daily Dozen, but I think she really wants specific foods versus groups. So forward thinking berries, mushrooms, kale, and onions. Yeah, I almost think of ferments, right? The G bombs. But there's a few things that I would recommend. Number one would be, yeah, I agree with you. Berries, one, they're rich in antioxidants, fiber, vitamins, and go with those darker ones like the blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, all of them, they're low in calories, high in nutrients, that reduce your oxidative stress, inflammation. Then there's nuts and seeds, right? So in particular, almonds, walnuts, pistachios, they're a great source of protein. They're very low glycemic. There are also some regular nut consumption is actually shown to have reduced cardiovascular risk, okay? And they may or may not contribute to weight gain, basically just because they're so satisfying. You just take a small amount, and they, again, are higher in protein, which also help with satiation. So I'd probably do no more than a quarter cup a day for females. But there's no evidence that they promote cardiovascular disease. You know, you all may have heard that, but there absolutely is zero evidence, okay? Just throwing that out there. Leafy greens, kale, spinach, Swiss chard, nutrient dense again, antioxidant, low calorie, tons of leafy greens. But don't, eat so many greens that you're not consuming other things like legumes, which I'd also would say are very important because they're high in protein, low glycemic. They promote weight management because they're high in satiety. Again, they're low glycemic and high nutrients. Whole grains, probably want to do more along the lines like quinoa, farro, things like that would be very, very good. Of course, soluble fibers like from oats, cooked oats in particular, can reduce cholesterol levels because they grab hold of the LDL as it's being, or the cholesterol as it's being recycled and escorted out. You also, looking back to the nuts, the walnuts, ground flaxseed, chia, they're also high in omega-3s, which are helpful. Healthier fats also include potassium. Avocados, which are high in potassium. And then garlic, honestly. So garlic helps lower blood pressure, interesting things around anti-inflammatory, antioxidants. So those would be the ones. So berries, nuts, leafy greens, legumes, whole grains, garlic, avocados. But yeah, the onions, mushrooms are very good for you as well, especially in the anti-cancer section there. Do you take complement daily dose B12 and D3 supplements? I do not. I used to, but now that we're like mobile, my mailing situation's a little bit hairy sometimes. So I use Nature Made for most of my brands, or Nordic Naturals for the algae omegas. Just they're easy to find. They're a reputable brand. When you look at third-party testing, what they say is in them is actually in them. So that's one I do. Let's see. She says, I'm having a hard time giving up fish and lean protein like chicken breast, eating it 2 to 3 times a week now instead of 5 to 6 days a week. Okay. Really wanting to get my cholesterol and triglycerides down and get weight off. I'm pre-diabetic, trying to become more insulin sensitive and tolerating oat groats better than regular oatmeal. Okay. But with beans, that's fine. I see a spike, which is why I'm adding the lean protein. Any advice? So I guess my question is, are you saying you get the spike with the oats with the beans? I'm not sure where you're getting it, but really you just want to think about a few different things. Is, eating low glycemic foods. You could actually Google low glycemic plant foods. You can get some. Things are going to be like your non-starchy vegetables, certain legumes, certain grains, whole grains. Those would be the ones that I would stick to. I guess it really depends on the person, but certain oats can be more stimulating glucose wise. So I would Google low glycemic, high protein foods. One, it keeps you satiated, so that may be why you're also having difficulty getting off the quote unquote lean protein, the fish and chicken. But these are, again, higher in cholesterol. They are not going to help you lower that cholesterol, which is really important. They can be also highly inflammatory. So really focusing in on your protein status is important. So more legumes and whole grains that are low glycemic. That's where I'd start. You're welcome, Emily. What do I think about NAC? Well, and NAC is an antioxidant, which is really interesting. I've only used it when I've had COVID or had someone who had COVID. I'd recommend it then. I don't necessarily take it every single day, but there is some interesting evidence when you are dealing with an illness, a viral illness in particular. Ryder says, I've been listening to your podcast. Do you have a new one daily? Right now, because again, things have been a little bit crazy, I haven't been able to interview as much. So what we're doing is we're doing my lives that I typically do and putting them out on the podcast as well. I'm hoping to, but I think they are daily. Jonathan schedules those. My son works for me. But I'm hoping to get some more interviews as things settle down and I figure out how this all is working. Still seeing patients, but interviews are a little bit tougher. All right. Any other questions? Anything else, Brittany, you want to share?
I'm just preheating the oven to put these guys in, but yeah, just make sure that they're not touching. They can be, however shapes you want. They get nice and crisp, and it's just both these are really nice, like little snacks if you want something at the end of the day. Because I'm a snacker. I like to nosh on something if we're watching a movie or, I'm busy with the baby now, and it's I haven't eaten in a while. So these are 2 quick meals or quick snacks that we always go to, but I hope you guys will give it a try and try it with a freshman. It's we also do dill sometimes too with this. So you could do dill too, but any fresh herbs really elevate this when you're serving it as well.
That dill would be really good.
Yeah. Yeah. If you like dill, it's great.
Yeah. Sheila's asking, I am having a nuclear medicine test tomorrow to check on my parathyroid glands. My PTH is high. Okay. I'm concerned about the radiation. Is there a way to flush out the radiation out of my body as quickly as possible? I'll be drinking a lot of water after the test. Okay, so really, they do have some level of radiation exposure, but often, obviously, the benefits are going to outweigh your risk here. So, first of all, evidence shows that you want to frequent urination can also help because you're washing it out of your system that way. Hydrating, you're right. I'm assuming they're going to utilize the lowest effective dose of the Rebel radio tracer that they inject in you so they can watch it. And then honestly, just I guess post-procedure, decreasing exposure. I don't know what that would be for you, but you could also use some antioxidants rich berries, dark green leafies and stuff like that, because obviously radiation causes more oxidative stress. And so that might be something to consider. Let's see here. Take that one. And how do we find recipes from today in Other Haley Kitchens? Sure. So you just log in. If you go to drmarbus.com and there's it says member login. You log in there, you'll see all the workshops, which I know, guys, I promise I will get back on the workshop thing soon. Workshops and all the ebooks and the year's worth of recipes and all the videos that we've done here. I don't think we've missed a day. And when you were out, we had a guest. Yeah. I think
I
that
don't think we missed any time for a year.
Yeah. And then Chloe, actually, I was out twice because we had some crazy stuff happening. But yeah, no. And then when I'm gone next year, I'll be out of the country. I'm to talk to Brittany about this, but I have a great doctor that's gonna hopefully fill in for us as well. So okay, let's see here. Got now Stephanie's question. I recently had lab work done and I have slightly low albumin. My doctor said I need to eat more protein. Is that what you would recommend? Yes. So let's talk about that. So albumin basically is it's a protein in the blood, right? And it's really important for fluid balance. And think of it as a truck, right? It can pack on things and carry them to different places. But low albumin can include you're not getting enough dietary protein. So a few things, right, is just understand that consumption of protein will impact your albumin synthesis. And so that's important. You want to make sure, again, shoot for that 1 gram per kilogram of your ideal body weight. So that's really important. If there's other issues going on, maybe your kidneys and liver, and make sure those are all okay as well. Outside of that, yes, I would definitely be eating more protein. And this is kind of an indication where some people, they get so focused on just the fruits and veggies that we are almost becoming too restrictive. And so you need to add in the legumes, the soy products, the whole grains. Soy is phenomenal for this. Sabrina is asking, I recently started HRT for perimenopause after being on birth control for decades. I'm feeling better, but still have issues with sleeping and hot flashes. Should I be aiming for 0 symptoms? How will I know when I found the correct dosage of HRT? I'm the lowest doses of estradiol and progesterone right now. Yeah, absolutely, Sabrina. So you want to start at low and then you go up slowly, and maybe 3 to 4 months. Could even do 2 months if you really wanted to. What I'm finding is that most women will have cessation of symptoms around, I'm not sure which estradiol you're using, but the patch is the 0.5. And so that seems to be where I'm starting most women. And most of the time they do really, really well at that. And the progesterone is kind of a fixed amount. So there's not gonna be much, I'm assuming, and depending on some people, some women choose compounding, which I'm not a fan of. I'd rather do the FDA approved non-compounded. These are still bioidentical. People's like, oh, they're plant-based. Well, they extract the phytoestrogens from the plant, but then they go through quite a bit of synthesis change in a lab to make it more bioidentical. So it's not like the old days where they took coarse urine and concentrated it. Close, but that's what they used to do. And it's a very different risk profile too. So yeah, if you're still suffering, you need to go up on your dose if you've been on it for like at least 8 weeks, I'd say. Okay. And also if you want to, I have I did a workshop, Sabrina, on menopause, and I talk about this as well in that workshop with the ebook. So definitely check that out. All right, and I've got a special menopause course coming up that I'm literally working on as I'm right now. All right. Are the recipes on Dr. Marbas indexed or categorized, and are they searchable? That's a Jonathan question. I'm not quite sure. You can go see there's all the titles on there, like what recipes they are. There might be a search option, but I'm not sure. We're also updating that to a new platform, and Jonathan handles that nightmare for me. I would just cry and go hide in a corner if I had to. Literally, I'm not even kidding. All right. Any other questions? Oh, okay. Susan's asking, what do you think of starting hormones at 73? I would not start estradiol at 73. The risk factors there seem to be that there's no benefit from that standpoint, but just increasing certain risk. But progesterone for sleep or topical estradiol for vaginal dryness or recurring UTIs absolutely could benefit you. But the transdermal or certainly not oral estradiol, I would not. But you could do a topical vaginal estradiol for just that area because it stays locally, or an oral progesterone for sleep, which can benefit a lot of people that way. So the window of opportunity for menopause starting HRT seems to be within 10 years of menopause or perimenopausal phase, or under the age of 60. That's the going guidelines right now, what the research is. And the research is far from what we need, but that's a pretty solid recommendation, depending on your risk factors. But most women can do HRT without problems. Most, not all. So, okay. Any other questions? Does Brittany have plant-based pediatrician for the little one?
I do. Yeah, I got really lucky. There's only one in Pittsburgh, and where I'm actually, I've known him for a couple of years. So we got really lucky. I actually keyed it up because I didn't know if he was going to retire, when he was going to retire. And so I emailed him asking him for recommendations for, and I also didn't think he took our insurance because they're a UPMC facility and we have Highmark. And I was like, oh, do you recommend anyone in Highmark? You know, I trusted his opinion, and he's like, I take Highmark. And so we got really lucky, and I hope he doesn't retire anytime soon. So
Well, that's fantastic. Susan's asking if she can take just progesterone for sleep. I believe so, but you'd want to talk to your doctor about it.
And I think I saw
Absolutely.
Gina had a question about
Oh.
her blood sugar spiking from beans. It
Was that,
might have
was
been,
this on the Q&A box? I thought I
that
answered.
was
Did I
like the
not?
main chat. Might have just been a comment on it, but
Oh, it was the main chat? Okay, one second, let me go back. Oh, someone's daughter graduated from Fort Collins CSU. Yeah, that's awesome. 2 of my kids graduated from CU, which is down in Boulder. Let me see the main chat. Gina? I don't, oh, Boston, difficult.
but it was answered. Okay, I missed
Yeah,
it.
I think so. I think so. Gina, do you feel like your question was answered efficiently? The bean sprite, but I got it now. Yeah, definitely do some lower glycemic. And the one thing I would say, guys, think of it as like a train. Basically, if you eat like a salad before your main meal, this is going to help tremendously. And then after your meal, 30 minutes after you eat your last bite, go for a walk, like 15 minutes. Doesn't have to be anything fancy or super fast, but that will actually lower your blood sugar. If you wait 30 minutes, the reason I say that is so now that the glucose that's coming from the meal is actually in your bloodstream, and you'll be utilizing that. Otherwise, you're just using the blood sugar that's already in your meal or already in your blood if you do it right afterwards. So I would recommend that. And so that can actually be very, very beneficial. But let me see if I can find some of like the more lower glycemic beans. I think lentils will probably be one of the higher ones, but kidney beans, black beans, you know, those ones that take forever to cook. Chickpeas are probably pretty good. Let's see, adzuki beans, things like that, navy beans, pinto beans, all the beans that we utilize here. Kind of those dark ones of the chickpeas, I think would be good. And white beans, those are pretty good, yeah. What else do you put white beans in? You put white beans in a lot of interesting things, Brittany.
Anything that's like a sauce, or if you're replacing cashews for anything, or you could, I like personally for me, what I like to do is, if you see a recipe online, or sometimes, you know, if you're cooking just for yourself, what I like to do is do half and half, because I still want the benefits of eating cashews. I'm not anti-nut, but also I want some, you know, maybe want to add some beans to it. So I really like doing half and half for recipes. So we use it for like any kind of creamy dressing, like a sour cream replacement. You could add it, you know, to anything that you're gonna zip up. Even, you know, you can't tell it's white beans.
Yeah, you can even put them in your smoothies if you want. I had some patients who put it in their oatmeal, like you were doing. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I've even, yeah, I've put soybeans in my smoothies when I had a home. So, um, can space, I'm like, we have pretty good, decent storage, but again, I'm just kind of figuring it all out. So,
I love the
yes,
tips about the blood sugar too, because I think a lot
yeah,
of us, like if we don't have diabetes or we're not pre-diabetic, you can still benefit from keeping your blood sugar stable. So I think a lot of people like don't even think about that.
right. No, agree 100%. And that's why I'm not a huge fan of drinking juices. Um, and people will worry about these smoothies, but what's interesting, even in my diabetics and when I've worn the CGM myself, the blood sugars go like this because there's so many vegetables. If you do at least 3/4 of vegetables, um, it and the rest is fruit or whatever. I use frozen blueberries, cherries, and pineapple most of the time. It is like flatline
It probably
because of
takes
the.
you forever to drink it too. Like
Oh yeah,
you can't like chug that stuff, you know?
there's no chugging. It's about a
Yeah,
45
right.
minute investment. So,
That probably helps too.
mhm, yes, for sure. Um, yeah. Any other questions? I'm gonna sneeze. Okay. Did the Vitamix come? Oh yeah, it came. It's been used this whole week, but I wait till 7 a.m. because it's so loud. I had my husband go outside and stand is like, okay, tell me how loud it is. He goes, it's pretty loud. It's like, okay. So we're gonna be nice.
Which
Started
is
at
so
7.
funny because I have ours in our garage now because the baby. But like the same thing is like And only if the baby's like napping upstairs or like Mark's like in a different part of the house with him, I'll go out to the garage and make mine. But literally the base is like in our garage right now, plugged in for that same reason.
That is hilarious. That is so funny. Gosh,
So,
yeah, I just don't want to make any neighbors upset with me for waking them up at like, because I could easily make this at 5:30, 6 a.m., but so we're just readjusting. Vitamix the garage is pretty funny though. I've seen. Steffi says Brittany is the one that taught me to use white beans in creamy recipes and desserts. Life-changing. Absolutely. The more beans you guys can get in, remember pulses, legumes, they are literally the one food associated with longevity around the world. So the more beans, just everything's better. Just eat more beans. Yes, you're gonna toot a little bit more, but your body will get used to it. Yes. Any other questions? Make sure I didn't miss any. Don't see anybody here. Sorry, my nose is running. The air quality is so bad. It has been insanity. I think that's all there. Any other final questions, or Brittany, any other suggestions for other snacks maybe?
I think Gina has a question about your smoothie. We should make your smoothie on one of the classes too. I think that would be really fun to.
We could do that. I could have that for dinner. Maybe we could definitely do that. I finally got everything here. Like we have a pretty decent, we have a 10 cubic foot refrigerator freezer. It's like, and it's a separate freezer. It's not one of those little tiny ones. So it's actually holds quite a bit. So what I put in it is I get the spring mix. I will get cabbage slaw. I know people are rolling their eyes at me. The broccoli slaw and the cauliflower rice. That's my veggie base, 3/4 full. Then I will typically put 1 scoop of the Garden of Life raw meal replacement protein or stuff in there. Then I'll put in blueberries, frozen blueberries, frozen cherries, frozen pineapple, and soy milk is my liquid blended up, and it's like a purple mud. It's delicious. Yeah. But I used, like I said, I used to put in the soybeans, but I just haven't bought any yet. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said I would love to see. I think a lot of people would like to see it. Maybe we can all make it together. I can make it here. You can make it
All
there.
right. Yes, I make it for people. My husband's like, do they like it? And I'm like, so far everyone told me they like it, or that'll just be nice to me, but that's okay. And there's all sorts of things but I really do want to get the soybean back into it, but like I said, I'm working on it. But maybe I'll put some white beans in it, but I really wanted the soybeans. So, but yeah, we can do that next week if y'all want.
I think Eden Soy has a black soybean in the can.
Yeah, I had to order it off Amazon, but like I said, I can't have
Yeah.
things mailed to me very easily. I can to the office here. It might look at me a little funny. And I think you can only order like 12 at a time. So there's a Natural Grocers here that I think I might check. If you guys are ever in, I don't know if they're all over the country, but the Natural Grocers is a pretty cool place. They have all sorts of stuff. And I think that's one place I might be able to pick up some soy curls too. Soy curls are really good. Y'all are aware of what soy curls are? Oh yeah, you were gonna work on creating soy curls.
I have one. I did it. But you need like a dehydrator or your oven for a long period of time, but I'll send you the recipe.
Yes, absolutely. I'm not turning on the oven for a while, but so.
We could do that too in a future class, but yeah.
Oh, fantastic. So you're making your own soy curls now?
Yeah. I haven't bought them in a long time.
Wow, that's awesome.
I make them just the same as they do, or it's like plain and flavored, and then you can season it with what you'd like. But a couple people that have made the recipe have emailed me saying that they've like seasoned it as it cooks as well, so you can like pre-season it.
Okay.
So it's really been fun.
So can you walk us through the process of what that is? Because now I'm really curious.
Yeah, so it's just, you literally just take the cooked beans and you can add to a blender, and if the perfect amount kind of comes out of the blender, I'd have to look at the exact recipe off the top of my head. I don't have it memorized yet, but you pretty much spread it to a thickness on your dehydrating plate. A dehydrator works the best if you have one, and then it dehydrates overnight, and you can kind of break up the little chunks of it, and then it stays good. But pretty much it's just like cooked soybeans that have been milled into mush that you're kind of rehydrating, drying out, and then you have them to rehydrate.
And yours have been shelf stable, okay?
Yeah, I've had them for I would say the longest that they've been here has been like 3 months since I made
Okay.
the recipe. So I mean, I'll let you know in like 6 months if it still seems good, but I don't see any reason why if all the moisture is really like drawn out of it that it would go
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
On a safe bet just to keep it in your refrigerator since that's what you're supposed to do with soy curl butlers anyway. But
I never kept mine in the fridge. I
never
just,
did either.
yeah, like we open it, but the bags don't last very long. Like once we open them, they're like gone within a week or so. Like, because I was feeding lots of people.
Yeah.
Vicky's saying, how do you cook your own soybeans?
So you can just cook them on this. It just takes a long time, or you could do it in Instant Pot. Instant Pot's probably the easiest way. My Instant Pot actually just died, so I just bought a new one on Prime Day. But there's recipes online for cooking times. But I think cooking beans is one of the main reasons I have an Instant Pot from scratch. But you can get, if you wanted to do the black soybeans, you could just buy the can and just skip that step. It'd be a little bit easier, but they would
And
be black.
and they don't be alarmed because the canned soybeans, they kind of got this really gelatinous thing. Just rinse them if you don't like it. It's like, but just beware. It's normal. How about making your own soy milk? Can you show them I don't know if you
I have the big things downstairs, so I can't get it right now because that would be the dogs and the baby all down in the basement with my husband. But I have this really big machine that called the Nutri-Milk that makes your own soy milk. But the Soy Bella is probably the one I would get if I was going to buy it because it's a lot smaller. The Nutri-Milk is really nice because you can do nut butters and it's like a food processor combination. But that thing is like $400, where I'm pretty sure Soy Bella is like under 100, and is specifically made to make soy milk. So look up Soy Bella. I don't have one, but a lot of people use it and love it. So that's kind of what I would pivot if you're trying to make soy milk.
Very cool. Let's see here. I have the Meomat that makes great soy milk. What's a Meomat?
I've heard about that one too. It's another kind of like nut milk maker. I've heard good stuff about that one as well.
Okay.
There's a lot of different brands out there. I also had the Almond Cow for a little bit. So we made almond milk and some things that was pretty good.
Do you have to blanch your almonds?
I bought them pre-blanched, so like you could buy raw blanched almonds. So I did that whenever I was making them, but
it's so crazy all the stuff that's available now. Because when I was plant-based, like 12, almost 13 years ago now, like, I mean, I would read about making your own almond milk and I'd blanch them, and I was like, this is insane.
I mean, you could do it like in a Vitamix with water and then get a nut bag and nut, I mean, that's also another option. If you don't want to invest, like the nut bags are very cheap.
It's your time. It's like time and convenience and counter space.
And now, like, thankfully, so many brands too, you can buy, you can buy it fortified, you can buy it unfortified, you can, it's there's a lot of different options out there.
Yeah, it's very true. Very different than a decade ago. Let's see. Any other questions, guys? Trying to think anything I can share so far in my adventures here. I mean, we've been keeping it pretty simple, beans and grains and smoothies and blueberry. Like, nothing's changed a whole lot other than I'm not doing a lot of cooked stuff in the oven or on the thing till it's heat.
Yeah, we just got another order of leaf sides, so we've been enjoying like just having that for like last second, like busy with the baby and don't feel like cooking kind of night. So leaf side has been nice. I've really enjoyed a bunch of their meals. So
which ones do you like the best?
Probably the one with soy curls, probably the broccoli. I think it's like broccoli, cashew, soy curl base, but it's that one's probably my favorite. Then there's a Thai one, a Tex-Mex one. The soups have been really good. I found if you make the soups with half a cup of water less, it kind of becomes like more of a bowl style. So sometimes we'll do that, and then I'll add like a grain to make it like a complete meal. So that's been kind of good. I was getting like their breakfast kind of smoothie ones, which were easy, but then making smoothies is pretty easy. So I just kind of pivoted to dinners.
Yeah.
But it is nice, like whenever I need a night off from cooking too.
Yeah. One thing that I have been doing too, I just bought, so you talked about the unsweetened, oh, Roger says what company? It's called Leaf Side. So I think it's if you go leafside.com, I think it's go leaf, LEAF side.com. Yeah. They're the ones that make these. They're really nice. The guy that's the founder, he's really shy. I try to get him on the podcast like 100 times. He's like,
Oh,
"Nope."
really? I
Yeah.
haven't really like talked to the owners. Although whenever I got my shipping label, like it wasn't sponsored or anything, I paid for it, but they wrote like congratulations on your pregnancy. So that was really
Aw,
sweet the first time because I ordered a bunch to stock up before we had the baby.
yeah.
And I saw Whole Harvest is another one, and they're
Mhm.
coming back soon. I saw that they're
I
gonna.
think so. I haven't talked to Mark Dossman, that's their CEO. But I know they were, see what happened was they got so popular. They couldn't keep up with the demand, and so they spent a lot of time and money upping their production, like all their machinery and stuff, and they didn't want quality to suffer. So yeah, this was back in April, I think, if I
And
recall.
they
But
opened a restaurant too, like the same time, right?
I think so. I think in somewhere in Missouri, right? St. Louis
Right.
area, I believe. Yeah, I haven't been there, but yeah, I did hear about that. Is soy milk making soy milk more cost efficient?
If you buy
Mm,
it by bulk, maybe
mm,
you could do that, but the same thing with you. Sometimes I value the time.
yeah. Time for me is, and luckily I have the means to invest in like the soy milk versus making it, but um yeah, the time factor, I just can't. Um Stephanie saying First Seed Foods is another whole food plant-based spa. Oh, something free meal, is it, I'm assuming SOS, free meal delivery service. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
that's Indian food and it's very good.
Oh, I think we had some of theirs at, was this someone at the NHA, I think.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
that was quite tasty. She had two things in the, when it's like a little buffet style, and she had, it was honestly the most tasty thing there that I
Yeah.
ate.
We've ordered it, and I think I have two left in our freezer, but we're big Indian food fans, and I'm not like a huge spicy person, and we both loved it. It doesn't taste like it's like a frozen meal that you're like cooking. It tastes like really fresh and
Hmm.
like authentic.
Hmm. I really liked hers. I should try to get her on the podcast.
Yeah, she's really
Sure.
lovely.
Yeah, she seemed like it. She spoke for a little bit, but awesome. Um, okay, 7 more minutes. Any other questions? Usually you guys have got like,
I know. I
I
feel like
can't,
last week I was taking up all the time with all the cooking. I'm
I,
gonna go the apple chips.
yeah. Oh, I was gonna say one thing I've been doing is getting the unsweetened yogurt. And what I like is the cashew one, because then it's not coconut and high saturated fats. But then I'll take some of those little applesauce cups that you can get, the unsweetened ones, and put some of that in there because that'll sweeten it for you. And then you could throw in muesli or whatever you want, top it with some berries. That's a really yummy, depending on what you're utilizing for the, if you do use muesli, just be careful, maybe the reason, but that's probably going to be a pretty low glycemic food, with the yogurt being so high protein. But you could play around with it and see what happens. Or you just put berries in it. That would be good too.
Yes,
That's,
these guys just came out, and the
oh,
pieces
nice.
that are really small kind of shrivel up, but that's like a perfect one. So I just
Hmm.
flipped the other side. put them in for a little bit longer, and then these guys will be all finished.
Awesome.
Really nice crunchy. Once they cool, they get nice and crunchy.
That's awesome. I can't wait till Paul's big enough to sit in a chair and hang out with us, and cook with us.
I know, I have his high chair, like, and we have an infant seat, but he sometimes it's funny. It's like sometimes he wants to be held, sometimes he wants to be alone, but sometimes he doesn't really like to be like put anywhere. And then if you have to strap him in anything, he's like not for it. He wants to be a free man. So we have an infant seat on our high chair that I've barely got to use, but
It'll be the one thing that you don't use very much. It sounds
right.
like. My kids always liked, we had those, instead of high chairs, we always got one of those, well, when they were a little bit bigger, then we did high chairs for a second, but as soon as we could get, they're like little booster seats, we could strap them into a regular
Okay.
dining chair. They thought they were like sitting at the table as a big kid.
Yeah,
So
I
funny.
love that.
Oh my gosh. Daisy's sparking. But all right. Any other questions, guys, or shall we go ahead and be done for the evening?
Be sure to
Okay.
make the recipes and take photos
Yes.
if you guys do make them. Again, they're two kind of great snacks. Try the cucumber salad before summer's over, use up those cucumbers, and then enjoy the baked apple chips anytime, but as we head into fall.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for the happy trails get wishes. And if you put it on social media, tag Brittany and myself, please. We always, like I said, you know, especially in the Facebook group, this is Dr. Marva's Facebook group or Brittany's Facebook group, you know, share with people what we're doing here, and we'd love to see the community continue to grow. So thanks everyone. Have a good rest of your evening, everyone.
Thank you
Bye.
guys. Bye.